So I'm at Texas Motor Speedway, and I'm going in between these motorhomes, and I'm having a Coors Light, and then I noticed Steve, and Steve's showing this video to a group of people, about 10 of them, majority you know, and he's showing what Brian and you guys had done with the 2-hour house. And I told Brian, I said, man, play that again. And he played it again. I said, do you understand this could be one of the greatest leadership books of all time? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, every business principle, collaboration, teamwork, efficiency, time management, motivation, inspiration, you see it in that story. So my question to you is, what role did you play? What role did you play?
So I was one of the electrical heads. As an electrician, Daryl Bonner, which is now deceased, he and I took the lead to figure out how we were going to make that happen.
So when he came to you, tell us the whole story when you first heard about it, and what were you thinking, and just the whole thing, your whole process.
So Brian had, and I believe it was at a TABA event where it was actually brought up first. He mentioned that we were going to build a house in 2 hours. And I said, you're out of your mind. But as the, obviously to put something like that together, you have countless hours in meetings, and you kind of start visualizing, wow, this might be able to happen, And I actually, without Brian, I'm not sure we would have pulled this off.
Did he show you a video or something in previous week?
Yeah, I believe Brian did show us that there was another home builder association, I think in California, that had pulled it off, but it was in
like 3 hours.
3 hours and close to 4 hours.
Yep.
And so that got the ball rolling, and we had the meetings, and he started delegating. Here's the beauty of Brian's leadership on it was he was instrumental in the delegation of, having conversation and kind of helping you understand what it is we have to do to make this happen, right? Lots of hours, and then contemplating what's the best way to do this, especially when you did not have a assigned team of people helping you, right? So we had, I think, close to 40 designated roles that we put on paper. And
just your part alone in the electrical work, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we had very detailed wall plans and ceiling plans. And then, I think what ultimately we figured out was, we don't know who's going to be helping us do this. So we have to lay this out where the morning of the event, we're going to hand an electrician essentially a wall plan with color coded, and this is what you're going to do on that wall. And once the roof is put on this house, you're going to also be involved with the roof section above that wall. So each electrician that was on the job did not have much work to do, like literally maybe 5 minutes worth of work on a wall, 5 minutes worth of work on a ceiling. So that's what we did. And so then we had to figure out, all right, so let's figure out how many of these people we're going to need or roles we're going to need, electrician numbers, to pull this off. And I want to say that Daryl and I met probably for 6 months, at least once a month, sometimes twice. And we go, all right, here's where we're at. Here's how we're going to do it. So it was, as it was coming together, it's like we might be able to do this. Yeah.
When did you have the group team meetings? Like, I know when he had the meetings, he would start, okay, this is where the beginning, where you guys worked it all the way to the end, and then everybody's sharing ideas. Boy, if you could do that, then that'll cut our time here. How much time did you have allotted for what you guys did? Do you remember?
So, I don't think, actually I do. I think we were trying to keep it into a 5-minute window was our goal. Within 5 minutes, we want that task to be completed. And so that's how we started and figured out how many of those rolls we would need.
Just people going in and walking out the back door, just boom, boom, boom.
Well, it is sort of. So, when the house was built, the roof was on a jig. So the whole roof line was sitting on a jig.
I got this. Got it
that's
apart.
correct. And
Right
it was about 5 foot off the ground.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Built up on pier, or just a frame, a jig, to where that was being built. Before the rafters were put up on that jig for that roof to be built, the walls were all laid out on the ground, and the holes were drilled in those. Once the walls were assembled, and each wall had a number, and so that electrician knew at that point we couldn't put wire in the wall quite yet, but go find this number wall, and you need to drill out the 4th, 5th, and 6th stud. And that's eventually wire is going to go in there, and we're going to need to nail a box onto the 2nd stud. And so a color-coded diagram could show them what that looked like. So we had walls like pre-drilling the walls, and then as the walls stood up, well, then we would get the wiring into those walls. The holes were already in the wood. The boxes I may have already been nailed on. I don't quite remember. Then we transitioned the same people. Once at this time, that roof is being assembled. Well, then everybody transitioned once it was deemed safe for everybody to work under there. That same person, like I said earlier, that was working on this wall section, well, we had little flags that there were certain things we could do to help make this happen quickly, and that was little flags that we set, measuring off of the jig that the roof was built on, so they could go and find that flag, and they knew they were electrician number this. And so they'd go find their flag and know, all right, here's the roof section I need to be worried about. And so they would essentially do exactly what they did on the wall, but on the roof. Then the roof was set onto the framed wall structure. That was amazing.
Yeah, but that's like going from a crane.
Yeah. Yes.
And just fit perfectly. It's amazing.
It was amazing.
That's when you really knew it was possible.
Yes.
You can't really practice that too many times.
You can't. That whole thing was adrenaline. It was goosebumps at certain times. It was, okay, what are we missing? It was the day of the build was just...
Nobody wanted to let anybody down.
It was nonstop. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, think about it. It's 20 years ago. I mean, that's wild. And it's coming up, October 1st, 2025. Mm-hmm. And so, if you're looking back over those 20 years in your personal life, what did it do for you personally?
So, at that time, I was still a pretty new business. I started my business in 2003.
And the business you're in is what?
So I own East Texas Automation, and I was an electrical contractor at the time, with also emphasis on low voltage systems. I was still trying to figure the things out. I'm running a business, and there's no doubt that going through the process of figuring out how to make this happen, in the meetings we had with other people that helped guide us, sometimes you get stuck and go, what do we do right here? And that's what those meetings helped with. So we would document, kind of things that we needed insight on from someone that may be able to help us navigate that better. But for me personally, after that build, it kind of took some chains off me. as far as a businessman. I learned a lot of things, and ever since that project, there's especially in the tech space, I'm dealing with systems that are very complex, and there's always more to learn. There's always a new system. There's always the next level to a system you may already be engaged with, and that's very intimidating in my line of work. And 20 years, I've reached that pinnacle of those systems, all those systems. There's no doubt that project helped me do that.
What's amazing to me is, we all have our processes, and our processes guarantee that the job gets done.
Mm-hmm.
But is there always a smarter, better way? And sometimes it does take an outsider to make us think or see something in a different way. Now, that's in your personal life. In your business life, what did it help you do?
I see. Yes.
Because we all have things in our business life and our personal life, how that event kind of, we think that.
And I probably didn't answer that quite right. I think I started off on for me, my personal life and my business life are very intertwined. I mean, you understand that.
Yeah.
And as growing personally and in business world, it's all kind of hand in hand for me, being a small business owner. I mean, so I really, I don't know. I guess I don't know how to gauge it personally, other than on the personal side.
Like if you would have asked your daughter, if you would have just said, okay, 20 years from now, your daughter's watching this right now.
Yeah.
What would you want to say to your daughter?
Right.
That you learned from that you would like to pass some nuggets to her?
Oh, sure.
What would you say?
And I have told my 21-year-old daughter this. Okay, she was 1 year old
already.
She was 1 year old then.
That's right.
The sky's the limit. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Nothing will hold you back.
Did she know about the 2-hour house?
She was 1 year old when she was there. Yes, she was there that day. And I don't know how well she remembers it from, at 1 year old, but I guarantee that has rubbed off. Personally, I couldn't be more proud of what I've raised for a daughter, and I guarantee that had something to do with it. Mm-hmm. No doubt.
What about to other business owners that you would want to share from what you learned from that on how they could be a better them? What would you say?
Well, I think there's several things to take out of it. I mean, we've already hit on some of them, but I think you should be able to sometimes relax and take in the advice from other people, right? We don't always know everything. And as professionals, we like to think we know everything. But if you can just take that step back and get guidance from maybe someone that's, it could be a lateral person in your life. It's nobody above you per se, but you just want to, you want to get some ideas. Make sure you're kind of going down the right path.
A lot of guys don't join TABA. I mean, talk about what TABA has done for you. I mean, as a group and friendships.
Sure. So, in all honesty, I have not been an active participant with TABA in over a decade. When I was an active participant, yes, it opened up avenues of, we're like-minded industry people of building homes. So you get to know various home builders that as an associate member, I had the opportunity to meet other builders that were in there and other trades. But yeah, TABA definitely has a good place for people in the home building market. I just got into I think the more advanced my systems in my company became, I realized that it didn't belong in the majority of the homes of people that were involved with TABA. It was just a different level project. And that's not, I'm not saying something bad about TABA.
No.
It's
So
got it.
let me just ask you, do you, I'm sure you had your naysayers. I mean, when you started telling everybody around town what you guys are going to do, what was the feedback you had?
They
Or
said
do you recall any?
No. I mean, I shared it with everybody, but I don't think there were naysayers, but they were, their eyebrows would, and I was convincing to people because I believed in it. We're doing this.
What about the practice house?
The practice house. I'm still
about that.
I'm still sunburnt from that day. That was a learning. That the practice house was needed, right? I mean, what we ended up doing in 2 hours and 53 minutes was over 8 hours in the beaten sun. Things didn't go very well that day.
Yeah, so what were you thinking? I mean, that's a challenge in itself.
Yeah, I think that we had the plan implemented on the practice house, the same plan we stuck with for the final house. But I just think there was a lot of coordination going on that day that with people that had never sat at a table with each other. I mean, you had multiple trades. We were hyper focused on just getting electrical wire into this house. So, we weren't communicating with the HVAC guys or the plumbers or, everybody else. So on the day of the practice house, it was just chaotic. There was a need for it.
Yeah, if I understand it correctly, that's where the colors of the shirts came in because they didn't know who was supposed to be in and who was supposed to be out.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, and that's a form of communication. The colors just itself.
Right. And I remember that. We had colored hard hats. All the electricians wore yellow hard hats. But I did have I want to say it was like a lime green shirt.
Like you were a captain.
Yeah. Just leading that team. Daryl Bonner and I. But yeah, no, the practice house was honestly, it was a long day. But I think it was needed, and everyone that was involved learned something that day to help us implement what finally happened.
Yeah, even the flags. Flags is a form of communication.
That's right.
With the cement trucks. And
Yep, that's right.
That was probably one of the houses was gone in first 15 minutes, I
Yeah.
guess, because the cement dried too fast or
Yes.
poured too quick or whatever
That's
the
right.
mix was. But as far as your case, all the electricians, did they kind of do their deal within 5 minutes at the practice house, or was that pretty chaotic too, or was it chaotic? A lot of people were there inside that wasn't supposed to be inside. Or what do you mean by chaotic?
Yeah. So actually, I am going to back up now that you say that. Long time ago, I've slept since then, so I'm just kind of remembering this. But I don't know that we had the detail in our wall plans. We gave a booklet. If you showed up to help us the morning of the 2-hour house, we handed you could be 5-6 pages stapled together.
You had to figure it out.
And your E number on there, but I don't know that we had that level of detail on the practice house. And I think the practice house taught us that, hey, we need a little bit more detail here for someone that we probably never met, and we're going to meet them the morning of the, it was Johnny brought his cousin Bubba, and they just showed up and said, how do we help? Okay, you're this number and you're this number. I think we had it figured out that we needed electricians with a number. We knew it needed to happen these various stages in 5 minutes. But just the detail on there as far as color coding was actually a trick that helped people understand it a little bit better. as far as wiring and boxes. But yeah.
Any questions you guys have?
If you could do sort of a layman's comparison, describe what you were responsible for, how long it would normally take, and how long it took you on the 2-hour house.
The task of wiring a house of this size with 2 electricians, you could wire that house in a day. Okay? You could trim out that house in 1 day. So you could say that it would be 32 man hours to do a house like that. But doing it in 2 hours and 53 minutes, the man hours, I've never added them up. But as far as planning to get to that point, we had hundreds of hours of planning and preparation, creating schematics and printing, copying things off. And
Can you imagine the tools that we have now, how much that would, you would seem like you could break the record with what you can do with technology today, but you got to have people that want to volunteer to make that happen. That's
So
a big commitment.
That's an excellent point. Getting volunteers was hard.
To me, it shows the human spirit is alive and well. People want to play in a big game, and they want to be part of something that's an impossible, which is kind of motivating.
Yes.
Especially when you do it with a bunch of people that and
Right.
and competitors that band together as volunteers. That's pretty cool. You know what I mean? And,
Sure.
and you got all these leaders and a belief system that it could be done. So you do have to share a vision. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I don't think would it have happened without the video of something else, another house, kind of to picture in your mind it could be done. Like you said, the house in California, 3 hours. I think it was 49 minutes and 59 seconds. Is what
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, so if I not seen that video, I would have been skeptical, a little more skeptical. But once I saw that video, I went, it's been done. We just need to do it faster.
Isn't it cool that somebody that broke the 4-minute mile that same year, about 7 to 9 people broke the 4-minute mile, but it took that one to do it the first time.
That's right.
It's wild. That's
That's
the way
right.
life is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think with the 2-hour house, we're human creatures of the eye. We believe what we see, and when people see collaboration and teamwork working together, then they can see themselves working together.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes we work in silos, but we do more working in teams.
Sure.
I guess it depends in your trade with advance. Somebody's got to lead the way.
Well, yeah, you can lead the way, and I'll be honest. I paid every one of my employees to come out and help on the project, because getting a journeyman or a wireman electrician to come out on their day off to do something for free, that's tough.
Yeah.
These guys bust their butts.
I'm sure a lot of people did
through the week, and I believed in it. I incentivized them coming out, and basically it was a mandatory. You are going to come, but you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
And so, but there were a lot of other people too, and I think Daryl Bonner paid his guys to come out. Yeah.
One last thing, the meetings. I'm picturing effective meetings versus poor meetings. What do you think what do you think that made it effective in a poor meeting to you? And is there a difference or something you saw just in meetings alone?
There's a difference between coming to a meeting and trying to leave with something accomplished, and then showing up at a meeting, I guess, just to talk and say hi to people and have a free beer. Totally different thing. So all of our meetings were, everybody was engaged. We were there trying to solve problems. And I think after every one of our meetings, maybe we didn't accomplish everything we wanted to, but we accomplished something, and we had a list of, all right, here are questions for our next, this is what we need to work on between now and then. And so
everybody would meet their challenges and then bring it.
I think so.
Like a think tank.
I think our team. I think all the main meetings between all the different, departments, I guess, if you want to call it that. I think everybody was there with the same mission and the same goal. And so, yeah, it was people there. We were there to take care of business. That's how that house was built that quick.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so last, any comments you want to add to our house 20 years later, party we got to get coming up? What would you want to add at the end? Is there anything that you could think of?
I would do it again.
Yeah,
I would do it again. Let's beat the record again.
Yeah, you bring that up at a party, so everybody reacts to it. That would be pretty cool.
How many was on your electrical crew?
Well, so as far as it was Daryl Bonner and I as the leads, plus for help volunteers during the event. I probably had 10 employees at the time. Daryl probably had 8 or 10.
How many that had a hand in doing y'all's part?
Two.
On that day?
On the day.
On the 2
how many
hours.
between our volunteers that came in to help? Well, we had, I think, 40 e-numbers, and some had 2 booklets. So we didn't have 40.
Someone would come out and then come back in?
Yeah, well, no, I'd give somebody, wall E4 and E5 right next to each other. I go, hey, I really, I know you can handle this. I'd double them up because we just didn't have the volunteers. But yeah, so I would say I had to double up a lot because I think we probably had 25 to 30 guys out there. Yeah.
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 I know it's kind of juggling 20 years later. When you talk about it, it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I find it unbelievable.